Hi friends, welcome to the studio, or as I call it, the room where it happens. Today we're going to be talking about how to restring a guitar with a Bigsby on it. I've got a couple of these you can see behind me. I'll go the other way. You can see I've got this cool orange guild back here that actually has a sandcast guild Bigsby on it. This is a Telecaster that was built by a really good friend of mine here in town, Edwin Stanley. This is one of his Rat-o-casters. It is a, I don't remember the wood he built it out of, I'll be really honest. But it's got Charlie Christian pickups, the Bigsby safety tuners, the old school slot head tuners that I really like, and then a reverse control plate with a volume up front. I really like it. I have had a couple of my friends and students say, hey, how do you restring a Bigsby? So I'm going to show you the tools that I use. I realized I forgot one of my sets of tools. And I'm going to restring my guitar and kind of show you the hit bits of it. It should only take a minute. There's some cleaning that happens in the middle that you can skip, but I'll tell you why I do it the way I do it. So let's talk about tools first. There are a couple sets of tools that make this job much, much easier. I really like to use a pair of, I've got this pair of pliers that has an angle to them to put the string on. It works really well. I use a pair of needle nose pliers to wrap the string around to make it, but you can also just use needle nose pliers to do that part. A pair of wire cutters. Again, that can be your wire cutters that are in your needle nose pliers. That's totally fine. A string winder. This is just your standard string winder. It's got the peg puller for acoustics on it. This one says Gibson on it. The reason I really like it is it's a plastic piece here, not a screw. The ones that are screws, I think, tend to bind up, and you have to unscrew it and then go. This one just spins forever because there's no threads. And then kind of one of the best things I ever bought is this little D'Addario guitar stand. Instead of having my guitar flat, what it lets me do is I just open it up and then stick it in here. And now I'm at an angle that I like to work at better. Definitely not something you have to have, but something that it also secures the guitar from moving, which I really like. And then the strings that I use are D'Addario. Ooh, let's see if we can get it off the shine. 11 to 49s with a wound third. I really like the wound third for the jazz chords that I play. I also think it drives your pickups harder. I'm a really big fan of the sound. I just think it gives you a more balanced sounding chord. So we're going to jump on this. First thing that we're going to do is you need to find a rag. I tend to stain t-shirts. So this is just a piece of an old undershirt. The terry cloth works really well to clean the fretboard. We're going to wipe the fretboard down once we get all the strings off. First thing that I do is I move my Bigsby arm this way just so it doesn't tend to flip and flop around. And then I take all my strings off. This, again, makes pretty straightforward sense. I've had some friends tell me that they always do their Bigsby with all this. They do one string at a time, kind of like you do a Gibson tailpiece. I don't do a Gibson tailpiece because, it's a Gibson tailpiece because I want to be able to clean underneath the strings. And with the Bigsby, it doesn't really matter, I don't think. So, go very quickly. I know that they make a little drill motor thing that does this, but I like it. I like doing it this way. One of the things about this guitar that's really cool, if you've never played a Tele with a reverse control plate, they're great because the switch is back here. I like to play a lot, and I like to adjust my volume with my pinky while I play. That's why I have these really cool white speed knobs. So it's volume, tone, switch, and this is this pickup. A lot of the times when you reverse the control plate, you just flip it around and everything's backwards, which is fine. But since this guitar was made for me, I was like, hey, can we do it this way? And they wired it the way I asked them to, which was great. I'm a big fan. I know that it's not the normal way, but that's okay. So the nice thing with the Bigsby is all the strings just come off. And I just use my fingernail to get in there, and then I pull them off and I hold on to the strings. If you are Using Diodario strings, like most of the planet, honestly, you can, they have their like player circle thing, that if you don't know about, you should check out. The player circle, it lets you like register every new set of strings that you put on. But I also like, I changed my strings enough that, if you send back 2 pounds, you get rewards points. And I was like, I wonder how long it'll take me to collect 2 pounds of strings. I started in May of 2020. It is July of 2021. And I have 1.6 pounds of strings. So I play a lot. I change my strings a lot because I play a lot. So if you haven't looked into it, you might. So if we just go in here, I just take this moment to like get the gunk off of my control plate or my bridge plate. I wipe it all down. I wipe the Bigsby arm down, or the Bigsby components that are under strings down. And then I tend to get a lot of gunk on my fretboard because my hands put off a lot of gunk. So I just really quickly, this is a maple fretboard, so I don't oil it, but I do just kind of wipe it down real fast. Sometimes when I'm not on a video, I'll put a little spit on the rag because it's my guitar. I don't do that to other people's guitars. But I don't really change other people's guitar strings very often. And for me, that's going to be good enough. I'm a fan of the gunk. I think it looks played in. All right, so we're going to call that good. Like I said, just taking the opportunity to wipe the areas down. So, huzzah. And then this is why you're watching the video. So we're gonna open our strings. This is the player circle code that I was telling you about. On the back, if you don't know about Diodario strings, they color code them. If you change your strings a few times, you'll know what I'm talking about with the colored beads. I'll talk about that here in a second in case your first guitar has a Bigsby. And to that I say, congratulations and I'm sorry. So, they come in 3 sets. They're always bound 6/5, 4/3, 2/1. So I'm going to start back here, and this is what's different. On a through body guitar, you can slip the strings through and let them lay down. On this guitar, you can't. You have to separate them. And what I will do is I'll take my needle nose pliers. And this is the important part. This is what you're watching. I put in my needle nose pliers, there's this flat bit that doesn't have ridges. I put the bead right on the outside, and then I just pull it around. And that one bent a little sharply, so I'm gonna do it here too. Yeah, there we go. And we want it to be kind of curled, right? Because that curl is going to fit around the ring better. Let's see if this one works a little bit better. This time I'm going to grab the bead. Oh yeah, that's how I do it normally. I just put the bead in the thing, like in the flat bit, and then I just pull it around the edge. And it's kind of curled about the size of this post down here. So we're just going to leave those there. Right? And then what I do is I take the beaded end and I go under the tension bar. I call it the tension bar. I don't actually know if it's called the tension bar. One thing to note about a Bigsby though is if you open up the Bigsby arm, you've got a spring, and then in the bottom of this thing you have this like little, I guess it's Kevlar. It's a washer. That needs to stay in there. That's one of the really important bits. The important bits that you don't think are important but tend to be. So the spring then just sits in there, like I said. What I do is, I know I have friends that like restring their Bigsby like this, where it's open with the pegs up. I don't do that. I think it's harder to get it back to where it needs to be. So I put it down, like I said, and now you can see why I turn the arm sideways. And now the arm's just not going to go anywhere. But what you do is, on this first one, it's easy because the strings aren't in the way. I take my finger and I just guide it on the post. There we go. And then I use my finger to hold the string like that, and then I pull it tight. And this is the hard part about a Bigsby, is you have to keep the tension this way, and you have to keep the tension this way. A lot of guitars with Bigsbys have locking tuners. I know when this was built, I was asked if I wanted the locking tuners, and I said no. I might change my mind. I might do it differently a couple years later. But what I do is, you know, you go up to, come back, and I know that my hand is this much, right? If you've ever used the slot head tuners, I always add about an extra 1/2 inch because that 1/2 inch goes inside the tuner. I will, at this point, I'm going to stop, and I'll put a picture, probably about right here, of the slot heads of this guitar so you can see what I'm talking about. So, what we're going to do is now, I like to use like the actual tools, but if you don't have a pair of wire cutters, it's okay. You clip the string off, pull it off, and then with the slot head, whoops, that's the hard part. Put it on the peg, which unfortunately takes like 2 hands for some reason. Cool, there we go. Now, I stick it up in here, and just like with a regular tuner, I bend it around. Oh man, and most of the time I don't have this much problem. Of course it's when I do it on video that I have the problem. This one's always the easiest and the hardest. Okay. You just have to keep a fair amount of tension on it. What I've done, and you can see it's on the peg now, in the groove in my bridge. If you are doing a taller, like floating bridge thing, like the semi-hollow back here, or the full hollow, you leave one string on to keep the tension on the bridge. But right now, as you can see, I've got them both pulled. You can't really see it in focus, but it is wrapped around up here. What I do is I hold it like this. I use these fingers to pull the string up, and I use my first finger to put it where I want it on the peg. And then I most time brace with my middle finger. And what I do is I always try to make sure that my string's wrapped down the post for a good break angle. I don't actually know if that matters. I'm going to assume it does. When I was taught to restring my guitar when I was like 15, they made a big deal of it. And it's got to be something because I don't break strings very often, and I bend a lot. Now that it's up to tension and it's seated on the grooves where I want it, I'm going to stop with that string. I don't need it to be in tune. I know some people like tune it all the way up. I think that's kind of a waste of time. So we're just going to keep going. I've already pre-bent this one. It goes under the bar. Goes in here. Hold it in place. Cool. Then we come over here. Measure it. Add a little extra to go in the peg. Clip it. Stick it in the safety tuner. Bend it around. Come back up to about the, 7th fret with my first finger. And then just tighten the string on. And make sure that it coils down the peg. And as you can see, that one went a lot easier. Cool. So I'm going to keep going. I'll keep talking. I might cut this part of the video out. I don't really know. So, as we go, I'm trying to think of other things that I do. If I have a guitar with a rosewood fretboard like this one, I just totally put my hand on all the strings. Rosewood fretboard like this one, or the Epiphone Dot that you can see behind me, any of them. This is when I take a chance, or I take a second and see if I want to oil the fretboards. But here we go again. Here's the bead. I stick the bead in the flat part, and then I just wrap it around it, and it's curled. And I do them both at the same time because I already have the pliers in my hand. And they're curled. The thinner strings, I pinch a little bit. Really, that is the secret. Beyond that, changing strings on a Bigsby is almost the exact same thing. Under the arm, or under the bar, on the peg, tension, hand, find length, add a little extra, come up, grab string with needle nose pliers, create tension point, clip over here, around the peg, create the tension, and then tighten. And that's pretty much that. That one's gonna spool on there the way I want. This is the same process as, at this point, as any other electric guitar. I don't have a video of how to restring other guitars. Because there's a lot of those on the internet. I will probably make one for an acoustic guitar after this, because I'm restringing an acoustic guitar for a friend. And we will have that video. So if you want to watch me restring the rest of this and see how I do the last little bit, great. You have the idea down. Please let me know what you think. Put it in the comments, you know, the like, subscribe button thing. I guess that's what YouTube is for. But yeah, this is how you restring a Bigsby. This guitar, like I said, does not get oil on the fretboard because it is a maple fretboard. The whole thing was polyed. As you can see, the finish is coming off of the top of the frets, which is cool. I like that. The other thing I do when I restring my guitar is I get all of my, you can't really see it in the video, but I get all my tuning keys vertical, like this, because I don't care if they're in tune yet. I only care that they're holding the strings on so that I can put it in tune. So that is that. But as I do go, I make sure they're in the grooves on my saddles. Oh, that's gonna not go there. There we go. Cool. Now I'm down to the last two. These are kind of the trickier ones, if we're honest, because they're so much thinner. This is where bending them around your needle nose pliers really makes this much easier. There you go. Like I said, grab the bead. I put the bead flat in the pliers like this, like that, and then I bend it around it, and it gives me just a little bit of a curve. And like it does bend the string a little bit, but that's okay. The string tension will pull that out, and I just pull it around. And there you go. You can see they're kind of bent where we want them. Then I'm done with the needle nose pliers. I'll lay that one down in there. Nope, I'll lay this one down in there. And then it goes under the sway bar. Not sway bar, you know, tension bar. This is the point where you do want to make sure that your strings on the end of your Bigsby are straight. They will stay in tune a little bit better if they don't tighten, like if they don't move side to side. Again, not a huge deal. I have noticed personally that my guitars stay in tune better if I get everything straight. This goes for acoustics and electrics. My wire cutters are wearing out. They're not very sharp anymore. I wonder if I can tighten them. And I also notice that I don't break a lot of strings and I stay in tune better if I get enough wraps on the tuner. I know you guys really can't see this. I didn't realize it until right now, and I apologize. The whole headstock I knew was not in the frame, but there is a my string tree right here that you can see. I put the strings through the string tree when I tighten them. I think it helps me keep it, like, it just helps me put it in the right spot. If I'm gonna put it under the string tree anyway, why not? Why not? And this is the last one. This is the one that I do a little differently, I guess. Just depending on how much space I have. I still go under the sway arm. Then I use that little bend that I put in there to grab it. And this is the one if I'm gonna use pliers or tweezers. Hey. I just hooked it on the peg without it. Cool. Oh, nope. As you can see, I've been restringing guitars with Bigsby's for 5 years now, 8 years now, 8 years now, and I still drop the string. It is most definitely not a science, it's most definitely an art, I think. So there you go. Now we're running through the thing. With the Bigsby and everything on this guitar, I actually don't clip the high E, you'll notice, because I can get it all the way to the bottom of the slot head tuner around, put my tension in place, grab my string winder that was in the wrong spot, and then tighten it up. Well, thank you for watching. Not the regular lesson video type stuff that I always do, or have been doing, I guess. Not always do. I don't do much video. But yeah, that is how to restring a guitar with a Bigsby. Now all that's left to do is to tune it up, adjust it. Sometimes on this guitar the saddles fall when I take the strings off, so I need to readjust that. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you have anything you want to learn to do, please let me know. Thank you so much. If you like what you see, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. If you know anybody that is trying to learn how to restring a Bigsby, please feel free to share this video with them. My name's Caleb Alexander, and have a great day.